man to a king? What's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer who don't believe in anything? We make it out alive, a brother right, no church in the wild. You beat the mob. What's a man to a king? What's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer who don't believe in anything? We make it out alive, a brother right, no church in the wild. I live by you.
Grew up in a town that is famous as the place of movie scenes. Noise was always loud, there are sirens all around, and the streets are mean. If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere, that's what they say. Seen my face in lights, saw my name on marquees found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't all it seems, I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brave. Will inspire you. Hear it for New York, New York, New York. On the avenue, there ain't never a curfew. Ladies work so hard. Such a melting pot on the corner selling rock. Preachers pray to God. Hey, the gypsy cab takes me out from Harlem to the Brooklyn Bridge. Some will sleep tonight with a hunger far from that an empty fridge. I'm gonna make it by any means. I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made. Streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Hear it for New York, New York, New York. One hand in the air for the big city. Street lights, beach dreams, all looking pretty. No place in the world that can compare. Put your lighters in the air, everybody see, yeah, 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 yeah. New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel